Who is Jack Stauber? It's this guy that he makes one of those funny music videos that are trying to think that he makes VHS videos from the 80s or 90s or whatever.
You might already be aware of Jack Stauber. Many know him as the eccentric avant-garde indie artist, with his most notable hits being Buttercup and Oklahoma among the rest. Jack is prominently known more for his music, with great justification too, as his two songs that I just mentioned were among one of the most innovative songs during their time of release. Riding the growing wave of TikTok's popularity, Jack Stauber became acclaimed by TikTok users through their memes, making his songs gain the publicity they deserved. I'd say the album in which the two songs came in, Pop Food, is a genuinely good album. It's playful and unique, and I'd say that it was an ideal example of an album being intrinsic to its time. Releasing in 2017 right during the cradle of TikTok's infancy, riding the growing wave of TikTok's popularity, Jack Stauber became acclaimed by TikTok users through their memes, making his songs gain the publicity they deserved. The songs, especially Buttercup, could be placed in almost any situation regardless of context, and I think that's why it became such a good meme format. You might have seen them go around the internet, but to my knowledge, this is the one that started it all. And yeah, I guess that's my brief synopsis of who Jack Stauber is regarding his music side. I really wanted to briefly touch it since it's a main part of who he is, and if you want to have a more in-depth explanation, I recommend checking out Doko's video on it. I'm gonna link it down below. Just like and his animations. In today's video, we will be taking a dive into the existential world of Jack Stauber. I'd say his animations are on par, if not more exceptional, in conveying who Jack Stauber is regarding his music. Both the animations and the music share a reciprocal relationship in which both complement each other when conjoined. This is clearly conveyed when watching his music videos, as people are often met with feelings of nostalgia, sometimes even sadness, because of how well both work with each other. The laid-back vocals mixed with the old VHS-style animations accentuate these feelings. I didn't know about Jack's music until later on. I first came across his art a couple years ago when I was watching TV pretty late at night. Being on Adult Swim, a new offline episode had just premiered that had been created by none other than Jack Stauber. I felt initially weird when I saw the animated short. Not because I was by myself on Valentine's Day, although that could have helped, but because the animated short was so unique from everything else that I had seen. Looking it up on YouTube, I found the artist behind the creation. I was on a video watching spree, continually watching his videos, each being more intriguing to me than the last. Just a few weeks ago, Adult Swim came out with a new animation in their Adult Swim Small series, created by Jack Stauber. The name was Opal. I was already familiar with Jack's art style, although I didn't know what exactly to expect, because with Jack, you never really know what you're gonna get. I think that's why many people tend to like who he is as an artist and gravitate towards his work. Jack isn't confined to specific restrictions, but rather likes to experiment heavily with his creations, just as he does with his music. Starting off the video, we're met with our protagonist, a young girl named Opal. Having dinner with her mother, father, and grandpa starts off very wholesome as Opal decides to jump on the table and start dancing, filled with excitement and happiness. In the midst of her dance, she is frozen in place at the appearance of a house next door, ominously staring back at her. She is scolded by her parents not to look at the house and was sent to bed. Opal just couldn't resist the urge of looking at the house and entertain the thought of what it contained inside, when suddenly she is met with cries coming from the top window of the house. Being the kid that she is, Opal's curiosity piqued and caused her to go inside the house in order to finally figure out what exactly was going on. Opal enters the house and comes across an old man watching the television. Catching his attention, Opal realizes the old man is blind as he calls out for Claire. Coughing up blood and struggling to breathe, it is conveyed that the old man is in bad shape, mainly due to his cigarette addiction. The old man spontaneously expresses his grievances through song, complaining for his troubles breathing, not realizing that his addiction is the cause of the problem. Comparing his life to what he sees on the television, the old man is discontent with his state of being. After continually pressing Opal to give him his pack of cigarettes, the old man scares Opal, causing her to run upstairs. Yet again, Opal is confronted by the cries behind the door, which was what Opal was initially looking for. While approaching the door, Opal is confronted by a man hiding and surrounded by mirrors. The man begins to talk nonchalantly, drifting between talking to himself and talking to Opal, making it hard for Opal to even realize if she's even seen. As she tries to leave the room, the man raises his voice, switching between his regular tone to a more demonic manifestation, showing his true personality. The man goes on rambling, making himself to be a victim, how no one wants to talk to him because he believes his appearance is holding him back. As he begins to sing about the disparity of his appearance, his opening line is, "This is pure speculation made by me, but I believe this means that society as a whole makes him feel like an outcast due to his appearance." The man believes that in order to live a better life, he must fix how he looks, causing his addiction and the fixation on his appearance. Trying everything he can to mask his appearance, from makeup to plastic surgery, the man tries to place a facade in order to hide who he truly is, hence switching between his normal voice and his inner demons. This causes him to be narcissistic and making him create a god complex, making himself believe that he needs to be as close to perfection as he can so people can finally acknowledge him. I believe this is kind of ironic, as his fixation in himself and wanting to be noticed is causing him to completely ignore Opal. Suddenly, the old man makes his reappearance, scaring Opal yet again, causing the man to drop the mirror, making himself look at his own broken appearance. Opal runs into the nearest room, trying to escape the chaos when she enters a room that appears to be in shambles. Opal is trying to figure out where she is when suddenly she is snared on her ankle by a drunken woman's hand. The woman can't see Opal as the alcohol is affecting her vision. She believes she sees Claire and proceeds to talk down on her condescendingly, manipulating Opal to feel guilt and believe that she is at fault for not displaying sympathy or forgiveness. The woman goes into a brief song explaining that she needs her daughter to be there for her, providing emotional support. Telling Claire to take care of her and be there for her is shown by this lyric. It's hard to say if the reason why she demands emotional support from Claire is because she was abused as a kid or faced some sort of trauma herself, making her turn into an alcoholic in order to cope. The woman's final lyric also alludes to her struggles with alcoholism, asking Claire to hold her hair up, presumably while she's throwing up alcohol. The woman's final message to Opal was, meaning that Opal is just as guilty as the woman for indulging in her own form of escapism, which we will soon see. Something happens that causes Opal to escape the grasp of the woman, allowing her to escape and finally reach her destination, the room. She found herself to be right where she started. Opal was in her own room. She peers out the window and onto the billboard displaying Opal's burgers. Claire is looking at herself, a mirrored reflection of who she wants to be. She wants to be Opal. She wants to be that bright, happy kid she sees on the billboard. And this is Claire's form of escapism. Her escapism revolves around the billboard, as that is a portrayal of her ideal life. That is Claire, and that is her ideal family. One that isn't broken or ridden with self-indulged addictions that shouldn't be placed on a child to burden. This can be seen throughout, as in the opening scene, the reflection in Opal's eyes as she stares at her family or the lights of the billboard. She is staring at her family, wanting to believe that they are her ideal caretakers. As the animation comes to its conclusion, Claire is locked into her own room, away from all the abuse, replicating how she was in the beginning. Her eyes shut in pain, trying desperately to escape into her own intangible, perfect fantasy. As you can tell by now, the crying that Claire saw coming from the house was her own. Coming from her room as Claire is trying to battle desperately with her own inner demons, that is the burden of toxic abuse from her family. I want to touch up on a few things that's my pure speculation. In the beginning, how Claire is presented with a burger, but instead of eating it, she holds it dearly as though it symbolizes something more. Perhaps the love of her family. Not knowing what to do with the love and attention, Claire is overjoyed that she expresses her feelings by dancing. Also, in the scene where Claire's mom is manipulating Claire, it's shown in a brief flashback when slowed down, how a baby is apparently dropped from a pair of hands, and how the father's face is disfigured following a phone call to the police. Putting the pieces together, I believe that the mother is to blame for a lot of the family's problems. Perhaps the mother's alcohol addiction fuels her rage, causing her to lash out onto the family. In this case, disfiguring the father's face, perhaps in a dispute. This might have caused the father's fixation and further narcissistic addiction on his appearance. Maybe that's why the father claims to be living in some sort of nightmare. Jack Stauber's Opal is a deep and profound look into the characters' introspective point of views of their own addictions. Each character coping from reality with their own form of escapism, distracting them from the true and abusive reality. This illustration of existentialism is among many others that Jack Stauber has made, each animation portraying these philosophical notions, making his audience more enthralled. I'll leave you with this short animation and let me know what you guys think in the comments. I want to thank you guys for watching. It really means a lot to me, and I thank you guys for the amount of support I've been receiving lately. Consider subscribing and leaving a like, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.